orange thing.
It's recording
Hey everyone.
now, so. There we go.
It's working now. Hey everyone, welcome to DoubleCommaDreams. Welcome to our 5th episode. Is this 5, TJ?
Yeah, we took kind of a break between the 4th and the 5th one, but we're on number 5, so.
Yeah, so the reason we took a break is because I had ankle surgery, so.
That was fun, wasn't it?
Still recovering from that. As you guys, actually, I'll just show you guys. I might be a little in and out, but I'm working through it, so we'll get there. This episode is going to be about starting something new. So Theodore and I have had a lot of experience with starting things, actually probably me more than TJ, but his have turned out to be a little bit better in the end. But we just really want to talk about a lot of the ideas around starting things new, and if you should, if you shouldn't, some of the lessons we've learned from that, some things you guys can take away, and just some of the really, maybe we think, interesting projects that we've started in the past. They might just be interesting because they're with us, but we'll see if you guys find them interesting too.
Yeah, and speaking of this, the reason that I came up with the idea of starting something new as a podcast topic is that basically last month, actually it was like 2 weeks ago, we did something called an income report where we basically share what our sites are making. And Nico actually suggested that to me. He's like, hey, there's some other channels out here doing this and it's working pretty well for them. Why don't we try it? And we tried that, and the YouTube channel went from like 0 views to now, what's it at, like 400 views? Yeah,
it does like 80 a day, or not 80. Let me see.
And we've got over 50 subscribers already. So that is definitely a way to grow this podcast, is just by sharing monthly income reports. And that was just something new. So just by testing things, experimenting, I'm very interested to see some of the things that we're going to be testing in the next couple months to see if they work or not. But I thought it would also be interesting to go back through and see some of the stuff that we've tested that has worked and a lot of the things that have not worked. I also have a list of things that have not worked in the past. So I think this is going to be like a good podcast of sharing stories of things that we've tried and started.
Yeah, I can't wait till the next income report, because the video I just did looked really promising. Well, YouTube must have saw that video and contacted their partners at Google and was like, get this guy out of here, because it's not promising now. 1 second, I gotta put my foot up. You can keep going.
No worries. So we've been friends for a long time, like probably more than 10 years, since I think like 6th grade.
Yeah, we're 25, 26 now.
I don't know how old we were in 6th grade.
Let's say 13 years. That sounds about right.
Yeah, 13 years. And back then, that was like when we started our shenanigans of starting projects together. Actually, now that I think about it, we have started a ton of projects together. If we put this on a list, there'd probably be like at least 10 things. But one of the first things was a little sketchy. We started selling rock candy in middle school. Do you want to tell this story?
I'm just going to do this. I'm trying to find an angle. I'm sorry, viewers.
No worries.
So after the surgery, they recommend you have your foot up, or it starts like really swelling everything up. So it's really finding an angle that the sun's not hitting. That should be all right.
Back, relax, and we'll get on with the podcast.
Yeah. So I was looking at our script.
I can lean back in a couch or something.
I was looking at our script, and I don't think rock candy was our first adventure. We actually created a code-based game that was all just code. Or what was it? What was that code called?
The batch script?
Yeah, batch script.
Bat file.
Yeah, it was a text-based MMORPG that we wrote out and coded in like 3 days.
Oh my
god! Well,
gosh,
I wrote it out. Theodore coded it. Do you think you can find it?
I don't know where that would be, but I remember that. I did not remember that until you brought it up, but that would be so cool to go back through and look at that code. But literally, it was like a batch file where it was like, if this, then that, if this, then that. And it was like a game, right?
Yeah, and we coded a bunch of percentages, like if you hit this guy, there's a percentage to drop this weapon or drop that weapon.
Yeah.
Like, we were sort of ahead of our time, now that I think about it.
That was kind of like a weak project, though. We didn't really like sit down and work on that for a long time, did we, though?
No. So then we got into rock candy. TJ was making the rock candy. I was selling it out of my locker. So we'd bring out like big gallon bags of rock candy.
In school. So we were selling this candy. Let me see if I can find a picture of it for people that don't know what rock candy is. It kind of looks like drugs.
Kind of looks like, what were they saying? Like crystal meth? I've never seen it. But supposedly has like the same like...
No, it's
I can't even say it.
I don't know if it's gonna focus because my face is here.
Yeah.
That's not gonna focus, but it looks like that. Like you bake it in like a cooking pan, a baking pan, and it's liquid. You pour it in there and you bake it, and then it like turns into basically a rock. And it's like a mint. Like you put a mint in your mouth and then it slowly dissolves. That's what this rock candy was. And you can put all kinds of different flavors in, and you can mix flavors and make it whatever color you want by putting like what do they call it? Like food coloring in it, and make it any color. And so we definitely made that. How long did we do that?
We did it for a couple weeks, and then we got in some pretty big trouble because people thought we were selling. The teachers thought we were selling drugs. So I got set down next to the principal, and she was like, "Hey, you guys got to stop this." And I was like, "What? We're doing so well."
No, I think the conversation went something like, and maybe actually we didn't sit. They didn't bring us in together. These were like separate situations. And
Yeah.
so the part that I remember was like you either got to stop selling it, or the money that you make has to go to us. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that part.
I was like, I don't know if this is legal or not.
They're like, "We don't like what you're doing, but we like it."
Yeah, exactly. It was very entrepreneurial. And that was literally back in like 6th and 7th grade. But looking back, that was really sketchy because that rock candy did look like drugs. And it was really good. Like it was really easy to like make a little Ziploc baggie of it and sell it for $5 or however. How much did we sell it for?
Oh, I don't remember. It wasn't anything substantial, I don't think. I think it was like you can get it for like $3.
That was a lot of cash back then in 6th grade.
Yeah, especially when we had to go back to Walmart and fulfill our supplies for the next week.
That's crazy when you word it like that.
We didn't know anything about expenses, and actually I still don't know anything about all that. So next was, do we want to go through this whole list of things we've created?
We can skim through it. We can talk. Let's talk about Minecraft servers next, because we have intimate history of Minecraft servers. I think we started back in like at least freshman year, before freshman year maybe.
Which I will say, hindsight now, I remember the first time we opened up that Minecraft server and it was flooded with people. You remember that? And there's just tons of people coming in.
We did not take advantage of that opportunity.
No. If you had a Minecraft server nowadays, it's so hard to get people in. Like hindsight on starting, just a little quick tip, hindsight on starting something new. I feel like I'm giving people motion sickness here.
You're good.
Take advantage if stuff's happening really well. Actually, I guess I can say that with the YouTube channel. Yeah, so we've had a couple. Let's go to just a couple of things you've done just here recently, and then we can get into some of the topics.
Recently, I'll share some of the ones on these lists. I'll share some of them. So I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago, I basically had kind of a successful online business where I was making money. But I was in the spot to where I feel like the only way I'm successful is in this content business. And so I want to actually go out and make like a real life business that I can explaining this to my grandpa. I'm like, oh, I'm just making YouTube videos. And I wasn't super proud of that. Especially the videos were like on dating topics and like cringy stuff. But it worked. I made money from it. And so I was like, why don't I take some of this money and like start another business that is actually a real life business, something I'd be proud of to tell other people about. And so what I try to do is in my local town, actually, you've lived in this town for a while. There's not very many places to eat, like McDonald's, a local Mexican restaurant. There's a Subway. That's like pretty much it. There may be some other ones, but like not really. Most people don't think about them. And so I was like, a lot of people like tacos. Why don't I just make like a taco delivery service? And so I tried that. It did not go well. I never really actually I started doing the math on how much it would cost to buy the meat and the lettuce and stuff like that. And I set up the website and I definitely started the business. But I never ran it. It never took off. I didn't get any orders or anything like that. I ran some Facebook ads. What's that?
Didn't you do a set of orders once?
Yeah, that was a couple years later, after I got married, and my wife was kind of wanting to do something on the side. I don't think she was working at the time. And we were like, why don't we just try this taco thing again? And so we did. And one evening we made 4 tacos and we did make 4 tacos. We made 4 orders of tacos. And then we gave those away. But the thing was, we realized it took like 30 minutes driving around town delivering these 4 tacos. Probably more than 30 minutes, probably like 45 or 50. But by the time we delivered the last one, it was like I wasn't proud of delivering this soggy taco to this person. And half the time we would like knock on the door and they wouldn't show up. So then we like text them, "Hey, are you home?" They'd be like, "Yeah." And then they come to the door, and it was just a hassle. And I was like, if we try to scale this and we do this like every weekend or something, I just don't think it would be a good business. So now I'm definitely a lot more proud of my online business. So I'm not having to like look for a crutch and like say find something that is real life that I can like tell other people to be proud about. I feel like that I kind of started that because I was like lacking something of being proud. Like I wanted a success somewhere else, even though I kind of already had a small success and I could have just grown that bigger, which is eventually what I did. But yeah, that was definitely a learning lesson. I did not, that business was not a success, but I learned some stuff from it.
Yeah. So is that the one you want to talk to? Now we can get into the, I'm like, are you done, TJ? Are you done talking about your stuff?
So one more. I partnered up, actually 2 more. I partnered up with a friend to do a workout tracking app. And I will say, I think where I went wrong on this is I realized something that a lot of startups, they have issues with, where like you're trying to make the perfect product and then you want to sell it. And so we just coded for like 6 months to a year, making this app better and better and better. And we could probably go through and find the code base. And it was really good at suggesting you what exercises to do, how many to do to grow. But we just kept adding new features when we should have just like put it on the marketplace or the like app store and then tried to sell it. And I have a feeling even if we put it on like we wouldn't get downloads. And so I feel like that was a big lesson for me, that a lot of times you spend a lot of time creating something and then you go to sell it and then it doesn't sell. In this case, we didn't even try to sell it. We just spent so much time working on it. And I have kind of flipped it around on my content business where I'm actually selling stuff before I'm creating it. And then if people buy it, I'm like, oh, people want that. And then I'll create it. And so that was a really valuable lesson for me that I've kind of taken from that experience. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, this is technically my 4th time attempting a podcast. So you and me have tried a podcast before. Should we name it? I really like the name of it.
Yeah, we can. We did 1 episode.
It was called The Leading Reading Show, which, by the way, Nico found a great artist to create the artwork for that. I love that. I love the logo for that. I wish we could use it somewhere else or something.
That was in 2020?
That was in 2018, I think, maybe.
Oh, really? I thought it was in 2020. It was a while ago.
Yeah. The Leading Reading Show is also like a pretty good, I like that name. So that was the first podcast. And the issue we had with that podcast, what would you say it was? I kind of have an idea, but I'm curious what you think.
So our goal was to do 1 podcast a week, and it was a book summary of a book. So we both read the books and we'd write down the topics that we enjoy. Well, when you're reading a book for fun and you're like, oh, I'm interested in this is fun. It's not too hard to read a book in a week, but when you start doing a book that you're like, I have to do this, like if I'm 3 days behind, I have to read 70 pages today. Like it's so hard doing it. And it's like, which we had a couple of people who enjoyed it, but I don't think we enjoyed the aspect of like making reading work.
Yeah. And I also found that like we would I think we tried it for 3 or 4 different books. We only made 1 podcast, but we tried like to keep it going. And what I realized was there were some books that you would read through them and you're just like, this is an interesting book, but there's no stories in it. It's not worth talking about. And I feel like that was some of the issues as well.
Also, we overcomplicated it a ton going into it. We're like, let's set up 2 angles here. Let's set up both mics.
Oh my goodness.
We definitely made it real difficult starting off.
And that's why
I think with our lessons coming up here, we can incorporate a lot of the stuff we've done and share little details from there.
I agree. Yeah, like we started it very like easy. We just bought a software and then like recording. I could have used my phone. I think
we did the free trial on it.
Yeah. The first one, what was it? Not StreamYard. It was
Stream
Riverside,
Deck?
I think. Yeah.
Or something, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But so we could start off what would you consider your 2 most exciting starts that you've started something new?
Exciting like to start, or exciting when I was starting it, I was excited?
Exciting when you were starting it. Like you're like, yes, this is what I want to do. Because I feel like a lot of people are in that scenario where they see something and they're like, I'm ready to do this.
starting that YouTube channel with you, I was super excited, and you were really good about like pushing me to be excited. So that's definitely like on the top there.
Yeah, well, let's not talk about that. No, I'm just kidding.
The second one, I don't know. That's a good question.
Were you not excited to start? What about all the things we've done? How can you throw all this under? Do you hear the wind in the back of my?
Nah, do you hear like water running? Because I've got the
No.
hydroponic thing running.
It's like there's like 30-mile-an-hour winds here where I'm at.
Dang, it was windy here earlier.
But all right, you don't have to say your next second one if you can't think of one off the top of your head. Mine would be my current site. It was so much fun to start. And also walking across America, which we don't have to get into full detail of walking across the country. I did do it a couple years ago. It was quite a trip. I walked 1,200 miles in 3 months.
That can be a video on its own of you explaining that, because you literally had a backpack and a tent and you walked from like Missouri to New York, which that's like worth an entire video.
Yeah, in the winter.
I don't know if excited. I could tell that you were just a little nervous when you literally just started walking. Like the night before, I think you were a little nervous, but you were. I also saw excitement too. Like you were like, "This is a new chapter."
Yeah. So those were our most exciting starts, I think, between us. And the next thing we want to talk about is really a lot of people always want to start things new. Like I had that issue, and I still have that issue from time to time. Is of like I'm working on my website, and I'm like, hey, how would I try this? Or hey, this idea seems really interesting. Like this seems like a ton of fun. And then I'll just take a couple moments and just start thinking about it. I'm like, oh, I could do this, this, and this with it. I already know how I would set it all up. And I've really had to start to take the time to examine like why I'm doing that, because I've learned value in letting something age and letting something grow. So like, say with this blog, like I could have got super excited about this channel and then just stopped the blog and only did the channel, which that doesn't really fit into the point now that I think about it, just because we're doing it alongside of it, because it's really what we're already doing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say I'm doing a different blog topic. Like I'm like, hey, like I want to do this blog topic. Like I could quit, but you really got to think on the character traits. Like, was it Alex Hormozy that mentioned like focus, discipline? Like focus will get you far. Discipline. Do you understand what I'm saying here? Because I think I'm running off a train.
The three ladder things where you've got like character traits, beliefs, and skills, and whichever one is the worst will hold you back.
Yeah, and I think it's the character traits I'm talking about. Like, can you be focused on what you're doing? So like we're talking to people about blogs. Like, yeah, you can create a blog every 3 months, but it's not going to be as successful as if you create a blog and let it set for 3 years. Like, there's value in not starting something new.
Yeah, actually, to kind of sum up what you're saying in Alex Hormozy's words, I think he says a lot of people, when they go from one project to another, it's because they've built this project up until they can build it, and then they go to the next one. And what most people should be doing is when they get up to where they can't build it anymore, they should figure out what the problem is so that they can keep building it, versus going to the next one and then getting to the same like pit stop and then going to the next one. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, and yeah, so that's what I struggled with. Was I would get to that level and I'd be like, all right, this is uncomfortable now. And then I get to the next thing and I get up to that level and I'm like, well, this is uncomfortable again. And I would just keep jumping. So I think that's a really good lesson to have, is like understanding why you're starting something new before we go out here giving tips on starting something new. So
yeah, I've mentioned a few times like a hydroponic website. Now that my hydroponics have been sitting here and growing for like 2 or 3 months, I'm not super excited about hydroponics anymore. And after I did some keyword research, I'm like, maybe this isn't a good project to do, like start, because there aren't that many good like buyer intent keywords with high volume. And like my lettuce over here is almost dying. Like I'm just not super excited about it anymore. So I guess that's kind of like my own little story about like starting something. Like I probably shouldn't start that. I should put my effort and energy into things that I'm already like working on and growing.
Yeah, that's with my current site is that I've just really noticed like there's more fruitful results coming now that because it's been like 5-6 months now on this current project. Like
Yeah, you have been working on it for a while.
there's more fruitful results coming out now that I've let it age. And the reason for that is like there was one time I was struggling with design and I'm like, I could just go back and do something new. But like I've let it to just start piece together over time. And now the site's where I really want it to be. And I'm like, this is what I had planned. Like it just took time to get there instead of starting new with something again.
Yeah, speaking on that, I made a note in our notes here that I really like this aspect of niche websites, that you can actually do this. You can build a website up and then walk away for a year, come back, and then keep working on it. To whereas like a food delivery business, you've got to build it up and you can't really walk away from it. You've got to put someone else in there for it to keep the brand like up there. What's another example of a business that you can't just walk away from? Like YouTube, even YouTube itself, like you can technically, it can be passive, but YouTube really likes fresh content. So you've got to like keep posting. You've got a job for yourself unless you have someone else create the content. But with a website, you can post 30 articles and then leave for 6 months, come back, post another 15, and that site will still be technically growing. To whereas other things, like if you leave them, if you just stop working on them, they'll usually die down. And a lot of niche sites are kind of the opposite. The longer they sit there, the more authority they have. As long as the content isn't like rubbish, it's as long as it's decent content, it'll actually gain authority over time. So I kind of like the idea that niche sites are like have that aspect of them.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I was thinking about that the other day. It's like I came back and I'm like, I really appreciate that I can go and correct something that I was not correct about a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's like I think you can edit YouTube videos now, but I don't think it's the same like type. Like it's not the same process.
Yeah, and someone could probably tell if you edited it. It's like you just have to take the video down and upload a new one, which is a ton of work versus just editing a paragraph or something.
Yeah, that is definitely. Yeah. Oh, I also wanted to say thank everybody that has subscribed. If you guys are going to watch this video, I think we have 55 people right now. 56. We've gotten 2 more in the last 20 minutes. So I really appreciate you guys. We're trying our best. We're just 2 niche site pursuit type of guys, and we're just trying to bring you guys along for the journey. So we're gonna get better as long as we go. Like we'll get our streaming set up a little bit better. We have guests coming on. We have more income reports. Like if you guys notice anything we can do better, just make sure you comment it below. Like because I'm excited to see what the future holds, but we need help with understanding what we can do to bring a brighter future.
No, I really appreciate you saying that because I remember starting the podcast. My intentions were like starting this podcast, I'll be able to share my thoughts with someone, which would be basically you. Like I didn't really think we'd have a grow an audience. I thought in the back of my head, I was like, we probably will. But the main idea was like just share some of the things I'm thinking about and make sure I'm thinking about them in the right way. Like you can kind of pick apart my thoughts. You should do this. You shouldn't do that. And now with like, we're actually growing like subscribers and viewers and stuff. So now it's kind of switched from me just sharing ideas to like, maybe there will be ideas from the community that could help me. And maybe I have some ideas that I would like can be helpful to the community. So I guess what I'm saying is I guess started out thinking this podcast probably wouldn't do the best, but it would be helpful to me to share my thoughts. But now I'm realizing like even through the income report, there were some comments that what I'm sharing is actually helping other people. So if there's any other things that we're like, if we're just talking about stuff that isn't helping, or if something we talked about like really resonated with you, definitely leave a comment. That really helps us.
Yeah. And I think motivation really isn't it's not like we're not motivated to do this. Like our core motivation was just to come in and talk as 2 friends about what we enjoy doing in this industry.
Mm-hmm.
So the motivation is really not a difficult thing at this point, but it definitely helps us know that like, hey, we're helping people. Like, how can we talk about it in a better sense? Like in the way we're explaining or like the stories or if it's actually fruitful content or not. So.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see where this podcast is like the end of the year and then the end of 2023.
Yeah, it's going to be so good. What?
Oh, also, we are slowly upgrading the podcast. Like our first one was like 720p, and now this would technically be the first episode that's 1080 because we upgraded our StreamYard subscription. And then hopefully soon Nico's gonna have a webcam so that his quality will be a little bit better. Which, are you using your phone right now?
Yeah.
I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah, you just log into the link and it just pops you up.
It's working, so
yeah.
But you mentioned something about a webcam being better quality. Is that right?
Yeah, they were saying that like supposedly when you broadcast video over Wi-Fi, it's just hard. It tangles up a lot, so it gets a little staticky. A bunch of little things.
Yeah,
but when
I've noticed a few times in this video where you've kind of like glitched and then you'll move a little bit. And so I'm wondering if like when we get done with the podcast and we watch it, if it shows that or if it like doesn't. So I am very curious to see if that is because of that, the Wi-Fi thing.
Yeah, I noticed that in a couple last of the podcasts. But when you connect it to a fiber cable, supposedly the frequency goes a lot quicker. Well, a lot more fluid and quicker, of course. But
yeah, your desktop is probably better at processing the video as well.
Yeah, probably 100%. So we just talked about seeing results and letting our projects age, which honestly is one of your big projects. Like your main site has been going for 6 years now, since junior year of high school or senior.
My main website?
Yeah.
No.
Well, I guess the channel too.
2017. The channel was 2016. The website was like late 2017, I think. But it wasn't even until like 2019 that I was like, oh, I can make money from this. Like I was just posting them from. I was basically started out just so that people would go to Google, find the web page, and then watch my YouTube video, like so that I could increase my YouTube revenue. And then I started checking the traffic, and I was like, oh, this times $20 per 1,000 is like a decent amount. And then I got onto Monumetric, and then I moved from Monumetric to Mediavine, which when I made the switch to Mediavine, like I immediately went from like $1,000 a month to $3,000 a month. And I was like, I am going to spend a lot of money doubling down on this, adding way more content, making the content better. Because if I'm making $3,000 a month right now, and all I've done is like take my YouTube scripts and put them up there, like if I actually like do SEO on this like website and start to grow it, that's when it'll be serious. And so that's like led me to the $12,000 month last month, which this month isn't looking as spicy. So I'll talk about that in the income report.
Yeah. So I think if you're wanting to start something new, think about why. So just a quick little thing. If you're wanting to start something new, think about why you're wanting, like, there is results in letting something age. So if you're struggling with like, hey, I don't know if I want to do this, like, just take a minute and be like, hey, maybe I should just let this. And like TJ mentioned earlier, you can come back and re-edit it. It's like, just make sure you keep paying your domain subscription.
Yeah, actually, in terms of starting something new, actually, I've got two thoughts now. Hopefully, I don't forget both of them. The second one is the guy we're going to have on the podcast to interview. But the first one that I wanted to talk about was like, we shouldn't gloss over how many things we've started in the past like 5 years. So like I have a successful YouTube channel and website, another YouTube channel that we both started, but is successful now. And then what else? Some other websites that aren't really successful, but I'm trying to make them successful. And then
no. Let's stop there for just a second. Let's give the viewers some idea of what not so successful means. We're going to give a little tip in here. What is one of your sites? You don't got to give me the details. What is one of your sites that you went full in? You're like, this, if I dump a little bit of cash in, this is going to do really well.
Let me pull the analytics here.
You should update the users on the analytics and how much you've spent on the site.
That is coming in next month's income report. Let me find this because I'm actually curious now. One of them, I don't want to say too much. By the way, I bought another website. You know the one that I 301 redirected?
Yeah.
I bought another one to 301 redirect.
So that one site has like 6 sites pointing to it now?
Technically 2. But this one was, I think I paid $3,500 for it. And It's making $100 a month through Ezoic. So I was
How
like
many articles?
70 to 80, I think. I think it has. I don't want to say the exact number because someone might be able to find out.
Oh, okay.
No, but you are right about that. One of the websites is like I'm in. What number did I tell you? I don't remember. Was
It's
it
like 15 grand.
15 grand? Yeah, 15,000, and it's not monetized yet. It just has a bunch of content sitting. I'm hoping that it's because of the sandbox, where you have a new domain and you just gotta wait.
Jeez,
But
I wasn't in the sandbox. What's
I know
going
I've
on?
seen people on Twitter where they're like, "What's a sandbox?" And they're like, the hockey stick just starts, and I'm like, "Oh, I've got no traffic for like 6 months. I need to figure this out." But yeah, that's actually like back to my point. Like we definitely have a lot of things that we've started that did not. I wouldn't say that they are not successful. That we just didn't like continue growing. Like you've done a detailing business. I've done the taco delivery stuff. You tried a designing, like, I don't want to say the name, but you tried the designing like CSS, HTML stuff for websites for you actually were doing that earlier this year. You were trying to do that, right?
Yeah, so
I
I
forgot about that.
was a little lost on what I wanted to do earlier this year. So I mowed lawns for a week, and I was like, I don't like doing this. I detailed cars for a week. I don't like doing this. I started a power washing business, and I was like, I don't like to do this. But in creating 3 or 4 of those things, I realized one constant was that I really liked creating the websites for those guys and content for those guys. And like that, well, not so much enjoyed creating content for, but I knew how to do it, and I knew how to do it kind of well. So I was like, oh, let's take that and then what I actually enjoy and what I can actually do well, and let's just focus it instead of like jumping around.
I remember that.
Which it looked really weird to a lot of people, me starting a bunch of things. They're like, oh, this guy can't stick with anything right now. But it was like, hey, I need to try it to see if I like it. Like, I just like talking about the things I do, unfortunately. So it looks like I'm doing a ton, which
skipping
I was.
around and stuff. Yeah, I completely get that. Another thing that I started that did not work. This is another, like, I would categorize it as a fail. Was a crypto news site. So this was after the YouTube channel that we started. I heard about I forget what it was called. I don't remember what it was called.
BlockFi?
No, it was a crypto news site that had the word block in it, I think. And it was sold for a couple million. And I was like, if they can do it, so can I. And they only had like 10 articles a day, which I guess was a ton of content at the time. But I was like, I could probably do that. And so I started a crypto news site.
You also started a Reddit for it too, I see here.
Really? Yeah, we did start that a couple months ago. That's rough. And a Twitter account. But the thing is, I know how to grow content websites, but I'm not sure how to do news websites. So a lot of this information, like, it's not going to do well if it ranks on Google for 3 years, because crypto is moving super fast, and news itself, like, news gets old. So I didn't really figure out how to get this stuff to go viral on like Twitter or Google News. So I probably, if I would have spent time with it, I probably could have grown it. But I was spending, I think, like $3,000 a month since like the beginning of this year, growing, like paying writers for this.
Guys, if you can hear this, I live across from a nursing home.
Can
you hear the sirens?
I can.
These poor guys get ambulance and fire trucks about like once to twice a day.
Dang.
I don't know how they keep up on their residents, because if there are that many people's leaving.
There's a nursing home in town, and apparently the fire alarm goes off like twice a month, my dad said. So they're always just going there and then like turning the fire alarm off, making sure it's fine, and then coming back. But yeah, that is interesting.
It's not so terrible during the day, but like when it's like 3:00 in the morning and you're like,
I just want to go back to sleep. Yeah.
And I pay way too much for this apartment to hear sirens every day.
Yeah. It is a nice apartment though.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
What was I talking about? Oh, the crypto news site. I spent way too much money trying to grow that when I should have just spent my time, money, and effort growing like the main thing. So I think it was like $30,000 I've spent on the crypto news site, and I have not made any money back from that because it's not it's not monetized.
Did you say 30?
Yeah, $30,000.
Don't put that on Twitter, because someone will be like, "That's my mother's whole years of income."
Well, I had like 4 or 5 writers, and I think the issue was I was kind of overpaying them, but maybe not because it's crypto. It's like super technical, and they did a good job at explaining the news. It's just, and we were doing like, I don't remember, 20 articles a month or something like that. So almost an article a day. Some of these people I paid 20 cents a word. So like $200 for one article. But anyways, I couldn't figure out like if the traffic would have been there, I could have monetized it, but the traffic just wasn't there. Like I didn't show up in Google News. Nobody shared it on Twitter. The Reddit, like you probably saw, it's not like it's kind of dead.
Do you try it on like Facebook or?
Not really. A lot of the crypto crowd isn't too big on Facebook. Also, like crypto itself is just like if you look at when I started it versus now, it's like crypto is just like, and then because of that, I feel like the interest in crypto is also going down. So I wish I would have cut that trend a lot earlier and saved 30 grand, but I guess it was technically all a write-off. So like the opportunity cost of 30 grand is like 15 grand in cash. So I'm not too down about it. I definitely learned a ton. At least the website is still there. So if I want to do a crypto news site or something in the future,
yeah,
it's there. But yeah, that was like, I probably shouldn't have started that. I started that because I saw someone else make a whole bunch of money and I was like, oh, I can do it. They sold it for multiple millions of dollars. And like, I kind of like, I don't know the word, like I aspired to do that when I should have just been focusing on the main thing. That's kind of the moral of the story.
Yeah, I understand that. I really haven't spent that much money on a site, just that much time. Which, speaking of, yeah. So that could fit into like what lessons and hardships have you learned from starting something new. So that definitely fits into that.
Yeah. By the way, that reaction of Nico on the $30,000 number, that was completely real. He did not know that before this podcast.
Yeah. You should probably talk to me about some things before.
Like I said, it was like three grand a month paying like 4 writers. So it's not that bad, but I just kept doing it like month after month from January until like August.
That makes sense. Like that's like if I hired writers, like the month doesn't seem like a lot, but then you look at the grand scheme of things and you're like,
yeah, and I kind of decided to shut it down like last month or maybe the month before. And that's why I said, like, I looked back and I was like, 30 grand. I paid 30 grand for all this content. Oh my goodness. It has really good artwork too. I was paying for the artist that you probably know who I'm thinking of. He created artwork for all of the things and it looked amazing. The artwork is amazing. The articles were really good. It's just nobody was like searching for this content. And because nobody was searching for it, I didn't get traffic. Like I said, a lot of it's all news stuff. So after like a month would pass, there's no need for someone to read the articles. So yeah, looking back, I wish I could have told myself not to start that, to just do something like continue focusing on the main thing. But that's kind of the moral of the story is it's really hard to decide what to start and what to not start. Do you have any tricks on that? Or is that kind of like the moral of this episode?
I guess that's the moral is like you can have some like nice signs. Like when I started this site, like 2 months in, I started getting traffic. So I'm like, hey, like there is some interest here. Like Google does need this. So it's like, hey, it's worth to keep going. But I feel like sometimes it's really hard to understand if you need to start something new or not. Like it almost falls back into the character traits of, are you focused? Are you disciplined? So am I focused on the site? Can I sit down and write an article a day? Can I spend 7 months on it? Like, is that something this might just be the part of life that I'm in right now. Like you could be different in that, but I look at options now and what I'm doing in the sense of like character growth, in a sense. Like I do like the site and I want the site to succeed, but I also want myself to grow from it. So am I wanting to start something new because it might succeed quicker, or am I not disciplined? Like, am I wanting to stop doing what I'm struggling at right now? So if I'm writing an article a day and now I'm going, hey,
the real goal of that is for you to build discipline to build an article a day, not to actually have an article at the end of the day. Is that kind of
that's basically it. So
that's a really good point.
Once I get past that point, then I can be like, hey, I can do this every day. Like, why do I need to start? And if I did start something new, now I have that character trait and that skill set to then bring it on to something else.
Yeah, like I remember I think it was like a year ago. No, it was like 2 years ago. I think it was 2020. You live streamed every day for 30 days. And I remember you saying something at the end of that. You're like, I live streamed for 30 days. Like I showed up. And that was like a big thing for you, wasn't it?
Actually, that was not the big thing for me. Let's
You don't
talk
have to
about
bring this up.
let's talk about why I live streamed for 30 days. So TJ knew I was a lost little minnow in the sea of the world, and I needed some extracurricular motivation. So he goes, "Hey Nico, this website's doing kind of well, and the channel's growing. If you live stream for 30 days straight, I'll take you on a trip to Florida." And I'm like, "Damn, okay, we're going to Florida." So I set up my camera. This was about writing. So I wrote a creative story every single. Well, I did not enjoy writing one single bit, and like
You
writing
showed up.
creative stories. But I was like, I'm gonna get a trip to Florida. I was so excited. On the 30th day, I was like, I did it, TJ. No, I have yet to go to Florida with Theodore, and it's been like 4 years.
Has it been really it's been like 2 years, I think. I still owe you a trip to Florida. We'll get it. Well, we have to find a conference down there, so it's a write-off too.
Yeah, but as much as I make jokes, it did help a ton. Like it showed me that I could do that. And once you break that belief, like, hey, I can write every single day. Like I go days now where I haven't written in like 3 days, and I'm like, why am I not doing that? I can do that. Like I need to be doing that.
Yeah.
Which I guess that breaks off a little bit from what we're talking about.
No, it kind of ties in because like we were talking about how sometimes people start new things because they don't want to finish what they're doing currently. And so like you said, sometimes it's just you just need to build that character trait of continuing to work on what you're working on instead of starting something new.
And sometimes you just suck. I'll say that about myself. Like sometimes I just suck and I'm not doing as well as I can. Like sometimes I'm not the person I need to be for the project I'm creating yet.
That was worded perfectly. That's exactly who I was for the crypto news site. Like I didn't really manage these writers. I didn't do a whole bunch of research on figuring out about how to like grow a crypto news site, how to get email leads and stuff like that. That what you just said, I don't know if I could even repeat it. Was like perfectly me and probably all the past things that I've started that don't end up well.
But on the hindsight, you want to work towards being that person. So that's what struggling each day and letting your new projects grow will create.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I don't know where to go from there now.
That was good. Did we cover everything on our list?
I think we did. We could just chit chat for a moment.
Oh, we should talk about some in terms of starting something new. The whole reason that we started this conversation was because kind of we started income reports and it worked out well, and it made me think like, sometimes starting something new leads to something really good, and sometimes it's not a good thing. You're just running from something else. We should talk about starting some new stuff on this podcast, like maybe ideas, whether it be on this podcast to grow this podcast for our individual sites or just our lives, like new things that we should maybe like experiment with.
Yes, I'll bounce off that in just a second. Just to clear this thought out of my mind, when we created this, it was new in a sense, but it was going along with what we were already doing. So we created something new in the process of what we were doing. So like we write every day. We talk to each other about what we do every day. Like
we were like, why don't we just record this?
Yeah, like it is new, but it's not something we're going outside of our time to create more of. Like we're just adding it.
Yeah, probably like most of this podcast, we would just be having this conversation on Snapchat anyways.
Yeah,
right?
we'd be talking about it anyways.
So I guess this isn't too new. One thing that I started doing, I think it was like last week, I downloaded this software called Active Track. I think it's called Active Track. 1 second.
I turned that off because I was very disappointed in my efforts.
No, that's the thing. I said Michaela. Oh, well. My wife thought that she thought that I was working a lot. And so what I started doing is basically on my computer, I downloaded this software called Active Track, and it keeps track of like when you work. I think I have it set up so like when my mouse moves, say that I'm working for the next, like, I think 5 minutes. And then if my mouse doesn't move for more than 5 minutes, say that I'm not working. And so it's pretty good at tracking how much I'm actually working. And you can see like the websites you visit and apps you use. And I really like it. But at the end of the week, I looked back and I was like, I'm not working as much as I thought I was. Like, I go inside a lot, I eat, I exercise. My wife thinks that I'm working a ton, and like the active track says that I'm working like, I think like less than 30 hours, which is probably like the same thing you were like, I thought I was working way more than this.
Yeah.
And so by having that there, I'm like, I should probably be working a little bit more. Like, I think I don't remember what the total of like yesterday was 6 hours. I could have worked way more than 6 hours. I could have worked 12 hours yesterday if I wanted to. That would have been twice as much. But just seeing that number that I only worked 6 hours, or I think it was like 30 last week of how, and I say working, it's hard to turn off some of this stuff. So like you go inside and you hang out with your family, and I'm still thinking about some work stuff, but like actually at time at the computer that I'm like typing stuff and coming up with ideas and watching things. I like, it really shocked me how much time I was actually working versus how much I thought or we thought that I was working. So that was like starting that, it like made me a lot more conscious of how much I'm actually working. And so that was something that I'll probably continue doing.
Did you update her on that number, or does she still think you work a ton?
We haven't had a full conversation about it yet, but I told her at the end of the week, I was like, how much do you think I worked? And she's like, 40 hours. And I was like, this week it was 26. This was last week, which I took a whole day off because I had like a sinus infection or something. But still, I was like, I'm not working as much as either one of us thinks that I am, which was really surprising.
Yeah, that's why we didn't have a podcast last week, I think, was because you had lost your voice.
That was rough. My voice was actually like hoarse, like you talk and it like sounds squeaky.
Guys, man. He called me and he was like, hey, Nico.
I could only whisper. I was like, right now I'm trying to record videos to like set up a launch for this boot camp that I'm going to run. And I was like, if I have to delay this is going to really suck because I'm not going to be able to have the full product to launch or whatever. It'll be fine. I'll be able to make videos in the future. And it was like 3 or 4 days that I wasn't able to work. And then now I'm back at the grind. So
speaking of another starting new, I'm sorry, I'm just jumping. You tell me a story and I'm like, hey, look at this. Something I struggled with the other day was monetization method on my site and starting. So I can either go ads or I can go offering services. And I'm not really at the point to offer either of those just yet because I'm not monetized. I'm still pumping out content. And my main focus right now is content. Like I need more. Of course, the more content you have, the better content, the more opportunity for growth. Like that's my barrier. Like I need just to keep pushing that. So I was talking to TJ. I'm like, hey, I could do this. Like I could make this much money if I tried this service with it. And it's like, that was almost a new thing within my project because I wanted something to build to distract me from what's actually growing my site. Like it doesn't have to be like, I probably will still do it. It sounds great. Like if I get it perfected, work really good. But like, it's something that was distracting me from what I really needed to do now. So it's not always creating something new. It's like you're trying to create a new process in your business or like finding ways to distract you.
Yeah, I totally get that. And what is it called? You come up with, I forget the word for this. It's not an excuse. It's like you come up with a reason for doing it. Like the crypto news site, I just kept telling myself, I was like, they sold this news site for like multi-million-dollar. And then also I even had a little thing in there that was like, I could learn how to manage multiple writers and stuff like that. And I never really I had one writer, maybe 2 or 3 writers for the main website before, but never multiple writers. And so this was 4 or 5. And I just kept I can't think of the word, selling myself that excuse to work on this side project of like, oh, I'm building a character trait of like managing multiple writers. And one day I'll be able to sell it for multiple millions of dollars. When it's like, those were just excuses and I should have been working on the main thing.
And do you think that's okay when you're honest with yourself about that? So you can have blind things and be like, I'm creating this because I want to do this. Or you can be honest with yourself and you're like, hey, I'm creating this because I need a break. And like, I could come back to this at another point. Like, I do want to just test this out for a second. Like, at what point do you have enough self-reflection that you can understand why you're creating new things?
Yeah, looking back, like, man, I kept selling the excuse, the excuse. I kept selling the justification that I was managing multiple writers, but I wasn't managing. I I had my assistant manage those multiple writers. So I wasn't even like learning that character trait. So yeah, looking back, like I was selling that to myself and it was like a blank check. Like I wasn't actually getting the benefits of why I was doing that. So I was basically lying to myself in the words of like what you mean.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's just one example. I could probably go through a few other things that I've started and like the taco delivery one. Like I definitely lied to myself. That was like filling a void in me where I was like, I want a business I can be proud of and tell people about and get them excited about it. And like a content, like a YouTube channel or a website isn't really like inspiring to other people. They're like, oh, you're a YouTuber. And like this was 2017 when like being a YouTuber was like kind of cringy, 2018, 2019. So it's definitely like that too, where I was like, kind of like, I didn't need to start a taco delivery business. It was just kind of like, I just wanted something new to try and start.
Yeah, makes sense. I just looked at my search console. It just showed up again.
Good luck with that.
It's
Mine
so
isn't looking
sad.
too hot either, so
It's all right. That's you just keep growing. That's what we're talking about, something new. In the trenches, you just got to keep digging, keep working through it till you see a little bit of light.
yeah. Speaking of my main website, that I think it did like 500,000 or 600,000 page views last month. I came up with 2 things that I can do to like get the page to basically get more traffic or make more money. And number one is like more backlinks, which sucks because I am spending money on backlinks right now, and the backlinks I'm getting are not the best. And the other one is a whole bunch of keywords that I recently stumbled upon using some some tools that I've recently bought. And I'm like, I don't know which one I should do first or how much money I should put into each. What are your thoughts on this? What kind of process would you come up with in terms of this, making a decision like this? Should I go all in on backlinks, all in on just the content? Should I do 50-50? Should I like start off slow and then like full speed, or should I go all full speed? What's your thoughts?
Have you remember that link you sent me for that other service? So I know you're hiring an independent contractor right now to get you links. Have you thought about using that service for a couple months? Because is it the same pricing of links?
Yeah, so I'll just say the links. I don't think we'll get in trouble. One of them was Linkify, and it was like it was $1,000 a month basically for minimum of 4 months. So that's $4,000. That's a lot of money for like 8 links. There's
Well, TJ,
also,
you spent $30,000 on a.
I know, that's why I was like, this money could have been spent all kinds of different ways. And then there's also niche website builders, which I've considered using. And they're $2,200 for 5 links, which is still kind of pricey. And then some places I've already bought, like I think I paid $1,000 for authority builders, and I wasn't too impressed with their links. I'm gonna make a video like reviewing all of these soon, but
There's also HarrowSCO.co.
let me write that down.
They're in New Zealand. So 10 links of DR40 is 400 per link. I guess it's $4,000. I guess that one site was offering DR70, so that sounds nice.
Yeah, the issue with a lot of those Harrow links is like what I found so far is that the domain will be super high, like it'll be DR70, like msn.com or something. And then basically MSN will just make a new page that like a basic 600 words, 1,000 words of content and put your link on there. And because that page is so new, it's like nobody's going to it. It's just a new page that they just made. The page score is really low, even though the domain score is super high. And so a lot of these Harrow links and a lot of these niche edit links that I've been getting are like that, where it's like the domain is amazing, but the page looks like someone just kind of like put it there to get the link. So I'm a little sketched out at that.
Yeah, I'm interested on how. I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. I'm definitely not at the point of link building. So, have you reached out? You've been looking at Twitter a little bit more. Any content on Twitter?
I don't know. I would like to start growing the Twitter, but I'm not sure how. And the people that I have talked to that have grown Twitters have either said that it takes a lot of money or it takes a lot of time.
Well, you got a lot of one than the other.
But yeah, I'm not sure. I don't want to talk about the topic. I think we're gonna have a guest on sometime next week. Will that be episode 6? Will just be that whole interview?
You know what we should do? Episode 7. We should do a live stream with these guys.
We could try it.
I wonder if there would be people who would come in and actually like listen.
It'd be
Because
really cool to have live questions.
we started with 52 subscribers today. When we started this call, we're at 57 now. So
What? We're
Yeah.
at 56, like halfway through this call.
yeah, so it's going.
Dang.
So if somebody will watch it live, we can. I think it'd be fun to go and like answer questions and talk about it all.
Yeah, some of the comments on some of the past videos have been really interesting. There was someone who said they made like $19,000 to $20,000 a month. There was someone who complained that I took too long to get into the content of the videos. So I'm excited to see what like comments on these type of videos are.
I wonder other podcasts. My only thought was like other podcasts, which we shouldn't directly correlate ourselves with other podcasts. Like we should do our own thing, but we should also look at successes of other podcasts. Like I guess they don't do live streams; they just talk about topics that they've brought on. So I guess we need to think about that too.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of that, I kind of want to get this on note before like a whole year goes by. I didn't start. I guess I'm going to say I started DoubleCommaDreams as a way to basically share my thoughts with you and maybe like turn it into content. But now that we've been running it for a little bit, I've had like a lot of time to think about it. And I have like this mini goal for like DoubleCommaDreams itself as a company to produce $100,000 of revenue within its first year. So is that something? What are your thoughts on that? What are your like 1 year goal or 1 year idea of DoubleCommaDreams?
When was our first video? Let's see here. October 1st. So by next October 1st, have $100,000.
I guess what I would say is we could definitely hit $100,000 by next November, like next Black Friday.
Oh yeah.
But we'll have to start taking it seriously, which right now it's just kind of like a conversation between friends.
Yeah, I would be fine creating a course. But my thought is there's already so many courses out there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, of course we can explain it different, and there's always somebody who can relate to you better. You know all those different topics, but like, I thought about that the other day, and like, can we turn DoubleCommaDreams into like a really good resource for niche sites, like the actual website? Like you log in and like, hey, here's a list of prospective sites. Hey, here's some tips on here. Like,
no, that really excites me. Like the $100,000 through making a course or something, that's definitely doable. Like we could definitely do that by next Black Friday. But through the SaaS model, like basically where we create some form of software or a website that they log into and then like write about this topic. This is how many like make a not an exact copy of something like Surfer, Ahrefs, like these tools. If we create a tool like that that is like from DoubleCommaDreams, that is definitely something that will like win long term. Because we ourselves would use the tools, and so I think that's like where we would get inspiration from. But I don't know, long term, that's definitely like a project like that. That's starting something new. That's definitely like a commitment. But what I have seen on Twitter is quite a few of these people are building in public. So one of them is levels.io or levels.io. And he started this AI thing where it's like interior design, but it uses AI. So you can take a picture of your house, upload it, and then like it'll design it for you. If you don't like it, click refresh, more stuff until you get the ideas. And now he's incorporating in like monthly subscription. So it's like $10 a month or something like that. And he's already up to $1,000 like revenue a month. And now he's adding in like, if you're like, oh, that's a cool chair, I want to buy that chair that's like in the picture, it finds one that looks like it on Amazon, and then you buy it, and it's like affiliate. And so he's doing
a percentage of it.
He's doing a great job of like building this in public. He built it in like 5 days, and it had like 80,000 users like on day one. Like 80,000 people used it because he set it up for free initially, but the GPU and stuff was way too expensive, so he started charging. Another person was Ian. I don't know. I think it's Ian Nuttall. I'm not sure how to pronounce, but he's also building something that he's like selling on Gumroad. And like, as he's building it, he's putting updates on Twitter. And so like, I think that would be a great model just to start building something and then share like the process of building it, like get feedback from users as they're using it. Like, hey, I like this feature. And then you're like, oh, I just added it in. If we did something like that, it would be really easy to hit 100, like 6 figures in a year. If
we built what we were talking about a couple weeks ago you remember linking.
Oh
Let's get
yeah,
that one word. We built that. I still need that. I was thinking about that the other day. I'm like, man, if I could just get a nice, beautiful view of all this.
I was. It would be a great tool. You got me thinking now.
I don't know how much a developer would cost. That's the other problem is you hear this guy creating an AI. Like, is he good with coding with that? Like, that's another thing. Is like how much time and effort and money is it going to take from us to build it?
Yeah,
And then like adding in new stuff. Like, are we just going to be managers at that point?
the wind's getting pretty bad here, and I'm like right under a tree. So wish me luck. Yeah, you're right. I could probably build an early version of what we're talking about in like Python, but you're right. Like the user interface and everything. Eventually, I'd want to hire a developer to do it like right. Not that I wouldn't do it right, but I have a lot of other things that would be better worth spending my time on.
Yeah, I guess we could do an MVP. Maybe at like 300 subs, we could just pump something out real quick that we spend a weekend on.
That would be kind of fun.
We just knock it out. Yeah. All right, we've been at an hour. I say.
Yeah, my throat's getting a little dry. I'm gonna have to
leave these guys wanting more.
We could literally talk for like 2 or 3 hours.
We do it every day, so. Also, let me know if you like. So I think the first part of this podcast was very like to the script, like, hey, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. And this last part was just a conversation between friends. Like, let me know what you guys actually like. Like, it felt a little bit more fluid towards the end compared to the beginning. So let us know. Make sure you guys subscribe. We appreciate that.
Yeah, I'll have to check the audience retention graph and see if anyone makes it to the last half of this.
There's been some people a lot of people just watch the income reports, of course, but
yeah,
like our first podcast, which people went straight to, which is interesting. Let me look up the retention here.
Also, the ones where you added thumbnails are doing better, so you should make a thumbnail for this one.
12% of the viewers made it to 53 minutes.
Dang. How many viewers is that? I'll do some quick math. 27.
Yeah.
So 3 viewers.
Oh, sweet. 24% made it to 30 minutes.
We actually have likes on those. That's really exciting.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that. Yeah, we're just gonna keep going. We'll get there one day. Maybe if we could. Yeah, I'm trying to think about some options. We'll figure something out. But thank you guys for watching. You can end your little bit too, TJ, if you have anything to say.
Yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. I think that's going to be my new thing now, is like just blurting that out randomly throughout the video.
He got roasted for it. It took him 1 minute and 25 seconds to do it.
It's going to be in my next income report. No, actually hitting the like button and subscribing lets us know that what we're talking about is interesting. And if it's not interesting, you should definitely leave a comment below so that we're not just left wondering why people aren't watching our videos. If you made it to the end of this video and you're like, I didn't get anything out of this, definitely leave a comment like, hey, this really sucked. That way we know not to make more videos like this. And we can have them on our own instead of recording them. But if you like this, click the like button and subscribe.
And honestly, if you guys tell us we suck and you don't want any more like it, we really can't grow between 3 episodes, so you're probably going to get a little bit more like it till we grow.
Exactly.
But we'll get there for you guys.
I think I'm going to go ahead and end this recording.
All right, perfect.
Bye.